Welcome to the Mentor Studio, where today's thought leaders and leading entrepreneurs inspire and bring real-world ideas that help you take your career to levels you've only dreamed of. Now buckle in. Here's your host, Michael Silvers.
Well, welcome everybody back to the Mentor Studio. You know, it's been an amazing day because as podcasters, you can either do it once a week. We have a once a week show. Sometimes I record them all in a row, which is what I did today because it keeps the energy and flow moving. We've had amazing guests today and we have amazing guests coming up. You know, at the Mentor Studio, to connect with us, it's simple. If you're in the United States, it's a text opt-in. It's text the word Mentor Studio to 26786, Mentor Studio to 26786. That will be changing to just TMS. So if you text 6 months from now, Mentor Studio, and that doesn't work, just do TMS to 26786. And also, you can just go to thementorstudio.com. It has all the previous podcasts. There's lots of ways to reach us. That's for if you're international. And we have a lot more coming. We're here to serve the underserved, and we have mentors in 14 countries and growing fast. One of my business partners is Mary Glorfield. She's Tony Robbins VP for 18 years. And trust me, she keeps me on my toes and we move a lot. All right. So our guest today, see, I clicked too many buttons, so I just dropped. There we go. Our guest today is Maija-Liisa Adams. Has been a TEDx speaker coach for the last 6 years. Have you ever seen someone in your field giving a TEDx talk and you thought, I should be there? Well, let me tell you, in my industry, we hear that all the time. Maybe you've even applied and been rejected and you don't know why. She has seen hundreds of applications and why some get picked over others. And based on what she's learned, she's helped business owners and others to get, craft, and use their TEDx as a driver of growth. A perfect example is Anne, a body language expert helping a lot of people, but wanted a TEDx to share her message and up-level her visibility as a go-to expert. She helped her with her application, what words to say and how to say it. She got the TEDx talk, 1.6 million views, and a moment of impact and a life wish fulfilled. Please welcome our friend, one of our mentors at the Mentor Studio, Maija-Liisa. Well, welcome.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Michael. Great to be with you today.
You know, it's great to have you here because the TEDx stages, and it's always, there's a lot of people who train on this, and there's a lot of people more who train on what you do when you say there, but then they're like, well, how do I get on the stage? Right. Yes. And it's that catch-22, which I never, once you won one, you have that momentum, but how do I get the first? But it just for a moment, a short little period here, tell us a little bit about your background and what got you here to be able to do this and why.
Well, I have been a speaker early in my career as in Silicon Valley, and I represent a software company, but I did retire from the industry to raise my family. And a few years ago, I came back to work and I was working part-time. I still am working part-time at the local university here, Brigham Young University, Idaho. And I was asked to teach a class where we should teach the students how to do a TED style talk. You have to say TED style because branding is very important to TED. And so from that, there happened to be a couple local events get started, TEDx Rexburg, TEDx Idaho Falls. And I said, wow, would you be a speaker coach for us? Because some of our speakers could really use some help. And then from there, I've actually branched out and I have clients from basically all over the world and helping them find a stage to get on is part of the fun part. And especially it's been different during the pandemic because people are ready to stand on that red dot that the TEDx stage has made so famous, but nobody stood on the red dot for a year now, right? It's been virtual. Right. We're hoping that in the fall, some will return to that as well. But most of the people I work with they're solopreneurs, they're entrepreneurs, they're business owners, and they want to know, how can I take my idea to the stage and what stage would be good for? And so that's what I focus on.
And that's great too, because, from a speaker perspective, an author, a trainer, a business owner, why is that something that I want to do?
Well, take Clubhouse, for example. If you just simply go to Clubhouse and you type TEDx, if someone's a TEDx speaker, it is right at the top of their bio because it is a stage of visibility. You don't get paid to give a TEDx talk. But the opportunity, if you do your homework to find out how your message applies to today and the stages that would be best to be on, to be the best fit for you, and do some work so that people know you've actually given the talk and it has some legs, then you have a chance like Anne did that I was talking about, who, every time she gives a seminar, she mentions, and in my TEDx talk, and it's done well for her. Of course, YouTube gets into and helps suggest it now because she's done so well with it.
That's right. And, it's that piece too. And this is, I think there's people there's some people don't even know what TEDx is still. We know that, right? Right. Just like I could mention Tony Robbins and everybody who doesn't know who he is, but they don't quite understand the TEDx. They don't understand the purpose of the TEDx. And then there's this TEDx, TEDxX, TEDx.
Yes, exactly.
Can you talk about that a little bit and maybe help a little clarity?
Sure. TEDx, the X in it stands for Independently Organized TED Events. So TED started back in 1984 in the Bay Area, and it stands for Technology, Entertainment, Design. So it was a conference for people who were in that field in California, which of course that's what California is known for. And they would bring something new to the stage each year about what they had learned in technology, entertainment, and design. So it's what do you have to add to the conversation? It was about to be done away with when Chris Anderson pitched and gave his most important presentation of all time and said, because he had learned so much from it personally, watching them year after year, he says, I would like to take it over. And once he did, he started curating these and putting them on YouTube. And that's when we all became aware of it. It was actually a student of mine who said, Mrs. Adams, have you ever heard of Simon Sinek and the Golden Circles and Start With Why? And, from that is where I started to learn about TED and got so excited about it. So TED happens once a year, used to be in California, now it's Vancouver, not the last 2 years, of course, because of the pandemic. And then they do have TED Global, TED Med, TED Women, but then they give licenses. And when I started 6 years ago, there were 300 TEDx events, which means a local university, a local town, they can apply for a 1-year license and choose a group of speakers to come, and I'll speak about one topic or I'll speak about different topics. And now there are over 3,200 TEDx events worldwide. So I just this weekend on Friday morning and Saturday morning, because it was evening in Poland, I was listening to one from Poland. And later in the day, here's another one I'm listening to. So they're happening. And this is a really cool time right now. Is you couldn't be traveling to Poland, but right now just get on Eventbrite and search TEDx and you'll find something happening this weekend, this month that you can say, I'm curious. I want to see what's happening there.
I love it. And it's about, because we talked about, we did an Instagram training earlier today, and it's that social proof piece. Yes. It's because people are starting to look, it's not, they're look across all the platforms, it's very different, but I want to know, like, and trust you. Mm-hmm. And can you talk a little bit about that?
So when you see someone take body language, for example, you can search that and find out all of the different people who've talked about body language on the stage. And of course, if you're not the first, you're not going to get the 59 million views like Amy Cuddy, who was the first one to talk about body language, but you do add something new to it. And then you also say, I like the way this person comes across versus someone else. We all know when you apply for a job, it's number one, can you do the job? And number two, do we like and trust doing it with you? Mm-hmm. And so that's also, it's like you said, it's a social proof. And seeing your personality and the way, what you have to add to the conversation, is it something that resonates with me?
Yeah. It's interesting as you're saying this, because we've been around the industry, right? We've been around that because we circle around it circles around us. A lot of people on the TEDx have been speakers on our stages, and our stages have been on TEDx. Yes. And you've clicked something in for me today that really it's another piece of that social proof. It's another piece of, it's another tool in your tool belt for your resume. Yes. Because I was thinking, here's my brain going, right? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, well, wait a second. By the way, with TEDx, I know this came up because this was a question that came up from somebody I was just talking to. Is TEDx always in the form of one, or do they do interviews, or can you have an interview format? How's that ever look?
You mean, how are you chosen for different TEDx stages?
No. But once you're on TEDx, you're always the main speaker, obviously. But let's say you had somebody who's got great information, but works much better if they're interviewed. Oh, can you do a TEDx as an interview?
Absolutely. Like I remember watching Vanessa Williams be interviewed instead of speaking. It's completely, interview is one of the ways. You can actually give an original performance. You may not even speak. You might have an interpretive dance that's original, or some song or something like that as well. You might talk about an issue and how it applies to today, like social injustice or political divide or the pandemic, or bring your topic and how it applies to that. It might be a big idea. It might be a little idea. Or you might just simply take us into a world that we'll never get a chance to go to, except you're going to take us there for a few minutes.
So what I was thinking, right, my brain is going, and we're going to go from those who are very experienced to those who aren't. And we'll talk about that in a second. But, I was thinking all of a sudden, well, wait a second. Mary Glorfield, who's never told her story on the bigger, right? Because she doesn't like to be on stage. That is just not her thing, has done something with Tony Robbins that no one on the planet has done since.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, why am I not interviewing her on a TEDx stage? There's a story that literally it's still never been done again. Mm-hmm. It's the 3 million participants, the 82 countries and the 4 million miles building Robbins Research, building now the large personal development company in the world. And would people really be interested to hear that? That's always, I think people in their mind think, no matter whether I've done something nobody else has done or I'm new and beginning, do people really want to listen?
Well, people want to listen, and Tony's given a TEDx talk. He gave one years ago.
Yes, he did.
And, Mary has not, but Mary could be interviewed. And what they would be interested in is that inside, that behind the scenes type of look that nobody else gets to see. Right. And the other thing that typically when we're telling our story is, here's the truth, Michael, no one cares about your story or my story. They care about, can I see myself in your story? And sometimes it's just a story about, wow, I'll never experience what Mary did or create anything like that. I want to know behind the scenes, or she's done something amazing and I can see myself in it, and gives me hope that I can do that too.
Right. That's right. That's always we always teach we know they're asking what's in it for me.
Yes,
we
exactly.
Absolutely know that's coming up. So what are, again, look, if you want to be on a TEDx stage, you just work with Maija-Liisa. Don't complicate this out there, everybody. But we always like to give the audience like 3 things they can walk away with today. Mm-hmm. Maybe a direction or even to get on a stage, or the why. Just what are 3 things that could help our audience today wrestle with this or even get closer to being on stage?
Number 1 is we all have, just like we all have a book in us, we all have a TEDx talk in us. I mean, maybe we shouldn't write that book or tell that TEDx talk or give a TEDx talk the way it is right now. But the idea is only a small percentage of it. It's how you develop that idea. And like with anything else, that can all be developed. The second thing is that knowing the type of stage, like the X stands for independently organized. So some stages are more veteran stages. They've been there for 12 years, like Amsterdam and TEDx Vail and TEDx Marin and places like that. And others are younger. The others have higher qualifications. Some are looking for professional speakers, and you've got to have a speaker reel. A lot of them not. They're just looking for a local professor, a local scientist, someone like that to come in and share their story. And you never know what's going to happen. Brene Brown, for example, she never thought that hers was going to go anywhere. She was just asked, here she is, a research professor in Houston. And she says on the way to the event, I think I'm going to change what I'm going to say. And her husband's like, are you sure you should do it? It doesn't matter. Only 600 people are going to be in the audience. And then she was horrified to find out it was going to be curated on YouTube. Okay, well, great. If only 600. She was not prepared for the fact that 2 years later, 4 million people had seen it. And now almost 12 years later, about 56 million people have seen her TEDx talk. But the only difference between her and you is she's done one, and you're wondering how to go about doing it.
Right. And so as you go about doing it, right, and you make that difference, can you just talk a little bit about who it would be good for? I know you could say everybody, but really, niche it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to come in and make it all about me. Let me put on my organizer hat for a moment, because I've done both. As an organizer, at least in the ones that I've helped with, we are not interested in someone who's interested in themselves. That is a professional speaker that's in it for them. Because honestly, when you get on the TEDx stage, you're freely giving your idea to the world. Right. And it needs to be something that serves them. I've been trying to attract a certain comedian, and he was, at the time I asked him, he was just so slammed. He says, I know I had to have original content, and it takes a while to put that together. And even Simon Sinek, the book came after, right?
Right.
I'm talking about it. And then from that came the book. That doesn't mean you can't have a book already, but you don't sell your book from the stage. You talk about how the idea that it came from. That's what you tell about. So it is really a way to raise your impact, your influence. That's what a TEDx talk is for.
I love it because it's just opening up. It's always, in a way, it's been presented so much and people talk about it so much. They're like, because I know there's a little bit also, because I hear this sometimes, another TEDx talk.
Yes.
How do I distinguish myself? There's just another TEDx talk. And I think you've made a lot of that very clear. I think you've really helped with that. And if somebody was to work with you, what does the path look like?
First off, anybody could go to my website, ML Speaks, Maija-Liisa. It's not Maija-Liisa Speaks because that's hard to spell. So I just do mlspeaks.com. And I just put together the top 10 tips that a speaker coach is looking for. And one of those, number 10, I'll tell you, is come and give a talk that only you can give. We don't want you to give a keynote. We don't want you to talk about, and my 3 main points are, we want you to get up and have a conversation around one idea and share that with the world. And so you can download that. And then if anyone's interested, they can set up a time for 30 minutes and I'll do a red dot ready assessment to see where your path to the TEDx stage is like for you and what type of coaching you would need. I love it.
You've just been amazing. This has been an amazing call because it sort of opened me up again, right, to that, because it's been so surrounded, and there's all these, and you should get on the TEDx and what it can do for you and how it makes a difference. And you blow me away. All right. I'm all over this now. We're going to be having a conversation, because I thought there's all these stories that need to be told. And it's a great way. And we just did an Instagram training earlier today, and it's all about the social proof, and that would drive toward it. And and Clubhouse, we know that's today. Who knows what Clubhouse will be tomorrow? But right? But TEDx is been here, will be here, and is going to be here.
Well, just like I said, 6 years ago there were 300 stages. Now there are 3,200 stages. Been a little bit of a pause. A lot of those have had to postpone, but it's ramping up again to go live, and it's still there. I mean, if you're going to be on the TEDx stage, it's like a 6-month cycle because it takes a while to get on, and then you got to work with the speaker coach and develop that message. I mean, there are people who get on and they have 300 people ever see it. It takes work. It takes work to hone the idea and so forth. But if you've got an idea we're spreading, go find out, look at it, deliver it from your point of view. You're the one who sees it a certain way, and that's what we're interested in.
Love it. This has been great. This is just, there's a lot of other stuff we could have asked, but we'll do that another time.
Sounds good.
And by the way, everybody, so you'll see the transcripts at the end, when the show is produced, and you can get all Maija-Liisa's information there. She's somebody that you want to work with. She's one of the mentors at the Mentor Studio. If our really goal is to serve the underserved and to become better at what we do, it's also to bring others up along the way. And that's part of what you're doing greatly. Be able to create that move and create that. So wanted to thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So it's been great. So for those of you at the Mentor Studio, it's easy to connect with us. You can go to thementorstudio.com. If you're in the US, you can text Mentor Studio to 26786 or TMS as they shorten it up, because we realized, and you always know, I don't spell well. Most people can't, look, Word has created this solution for all of us, but you want to make your text opt-ins as simple as possible. So the team is changing it to TMS, which will be in just probably a week or two. And so that's Mentor Studio to 26786, or in a couple of weeks, it'll be TMS to 26786, whichever one works. And we want to just thank you again. Listen to the previous podcast. We have more coming out. We have an exciting time. We're a group of mentors in 14 countries that are going to make a difference and are changing the world. And it's just a great day. Maija-Liisa, you've been amazing today.
And you're doing it, and we're doing it rapidly, aren't we? It's just exploding.
Really are. It really, it's really rapid.
Michael, come and give a talk that only you can give, and I can help you with that, and Mary too.
Yeah, you're the best. Yeah, we got to talk. So, all right, everybody, have a great morning or afternoon, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye, everyone.
We're honored that you invested time with us today at the Mentor Studio. Now, don't be greedy. Share this knowledge bomb with all your dope peeps on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Actually, we'll even pay you to do it. To get the deets, please check out thementorstudio.com.